We're so lucky every Thursday here during the baseball season to be joined by LSU head baseball coach Jay Johnson, making time for us each and every week despite his incessantly busy schedule. Coach, what's going on, man? How we feeling this Thursday morning?
Good morning. How are you guys?
I'm freaking great. You know why? Because you beat Tennessee's ass, okay? That's the good stuff, Coach. Hell yes. And I know that yours is not a profession where you stop and smell the roses, right? I get it. Like, you guys are always next pitch, next pitch, next pitch. But if I can ask you for a moment, that Friday game, man, that ninth inning, 1:30 a.m., like, surely that has to be up there with one of the wilder regular season experiences you've ever had.
No doubt. I actually said that, after the game. That's one of the best regular season wins I can remember being a part of. And, there's a lot that went into that. I mean, we were facing, one of the best pitchers in the country and didn't have a lot to show for it early on. But I did think our guys were competing in the box, and it didn't manifest in any runs, but it did in us getting him out of the game a little bit earlier before Kade Anderson, who had an awesome performance also, and forced Nate Snead in the game for just a little longer than he normally goes, and we got him there at the end. And then just that ninth inning was electric. We get a couple good at bats. Dalton Beck, that was awesome. Drives into Tanner Reeves drew a walk in there, and then Derek Curiel with the 2-strike hit, ripping it through the right side.
Crazy.
and then the big bear after 1 a.m. Man, you love that.
How insane! Because the punctuation mark is not just the walk; it's 450 to dead center. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not to right. It's not over 450. To dead center,
over the batter's eye.
1:30 a.m. walk-off over the batter's eye. It's legendary. It's one of those games where if you're a fan of the team, you'll remember it forever.
Yeah, and then, afterwards, it was kind of funny, because it all happened very fast. I wasn't going crazy. I was just kind of standing there smiling, and it was definitely, we normally shake hands as coaches, after we get a win. That was definitely hey, I hugged every coach on our staff after that. And then, I just kind of looked around for a minute, and, the place is going crazy, and the guys are going crazy, and there's this rap music I never heard of playing on the loudspeakers. And I was like, this is awesome. Somebody's got to find that song. It was a good song. So, it was a great night. It was a great night.
That's so good. Coach, kind of walk us through maybe Dalton Beck coming up and hitting in that spot, because look, Bear Jones and that highlight's going to play for a very, very long time, and we're all going to remember that. But you're right. As you lay it out, there was things that led to that. And Dalton Beck is somebody that, hasn't got a ton of at-bats this year. How clutch was that, and what were the conversations maybe to put him in the game in that moment?
Well, first off, there's a lot that goes on here more than game day, as you guys know, as athletes. Guy is a really good hitter. We brought him here because he's a really good hitter. Just kind of, how our team is shaken out this year. We have a few guys that probably should have more at-bats than they do, and Dalton would be one of those guys. But I would kind of liken it to Hayden Travinsky a couple years ago. He only had 3 at-bats through 26 or 27 games. But we saw what was going on and plugged him in there. And then, last Saturday, I put him in against, Osmer, the closer from Alabama, and he struck him out, and he struck everybody out. He's had a good year this year out of the pen, but I still liked what I saw and the at-bat, and it was a better matchup than, a right-handed hitter that we had coming up at that time. And then I saw him walk up to the plate, and he was just completely under control. I was like, this got a chance to be pretty good. And he took a borderline pitch, took a strike, got the count to 2-1, and then, man, somebody would have got killed if he got hit by that ball. It was smoked, and it was awesome. And better than that, you're talking about a guy that hit 18 homers last year and had all the personal accolades you could have. And he's been an awesome teammate and, really good hitter. He got a hit the other night on Tuesday too. So excited to get him going a little bit also.
We'll start to look forward in a second, Coach. But again, just a massive series win last weekend. But I want to talk about Kade Anderson because whether it's Kyson Witherspoon, Liam Doyle, whatever the case may be, he seems to have the ability. It's almost like a prize fighter when he knows that one of the top contenders is coming in. He almost like raises his level of play. Is that a trait that in your career you have seen kind of your best aces have, that they do take it a bit like a one-on-one matchup when they got another big name across from him?
No doubt about it. And, that's a really good point and a really good something to hang our hat on for our team is the whether it's Pico Khan, Witherspoon, Liam Doyle, obviously, Riley Quick. We've won all the games against the guys on the mound.
Yeah.
And a big reason is that is because of Kade, not just matching, but being a little bit better. And, he's made a big jump. And I'm not surprised when you know the person and the work that he puts in and the character and the athlete. But, he's been a huge, huge part of this thing. I think we only have one loss on Fridays the entire season, and you can immediately point to Kade for that.
Now, Coach, a couple of weeks ago, you joined us, and we were talking about some of the options out of the bullpen because you had two guys that just kind of, when they come in, the game's kind of over. Well, one of those guys started on Sunday in Kason Evans, and I kind of attribute that to you saying, again, a couple of weeks ago, that we got to do whatever we got to do to win that game that day, and that's what we look at, not maybe down the road, but just that game. Was that what that was on Sunday because he was still available? You had to go win the series, win that game, and that's not really a plan necessarily moving forward, but in that day, in that situation, that was the best option for the Tigers?
Yeah, no doubt. And, he's going to be a starter, whether that's the rest of the season and definitely the next 2 years. He's one of the best freshman pitchers in the country, and along with William Schmidt. So how lucky are we to have those two guys for 3 years? So, yeah, that's where he's headed. I just believe in your best guys. Some of your best guys have to be at the end of the game. And, one of this team's really good traits so far and why we're in a good position today as we sit is we've won a lot of close games, and Kason and Zach are a big reason for that. And, last year you look at it and, we rallied and ended up having a good season, but with some really tough, close losses last year. And part of it was we just couldn't match up with who the other team was throwing out of the bullpen in those close games. And, somebody would pop a homer on us or get a big hit where, maybe their guy was shutting us down. Well, we have two guys that when we come in or when they come in, our team feels pretty good. Like they're going to put up zeros and give the offense a chance to relax, play the game, and score.
We're talking to LSU head baseball coach Jay Johnson here. I'm going to frame this next question very poorly because I don't know how else to ask it. But, what else can you say about Derek Curiel that hasn't already been said, right? I mean, freshman, top of the order. He seems to continue to ascend. It's clutch hitting. It's consistent hitting. I mean, it's a weekend where he has the big Friday night hit, and then he comes back on Sunday in the rubber match and goes 4-4, 5 ribbies from the leadoff spot. I don't get it. Or do you have any compliments left that you could say that you haven't already said?
Yeah, he's a great player. And for me, the separator in these truly elite players is their mind. And the same thing we'd always talk about with Dylan. And he's got such good feel for baseball. And, he texts me just about every night at some point. Wow. And this was really cool. So Thursday night, he was still thinking about, he didn't do a couple double plays against Alabama. And, he texted me, he's like, no more double plays. I get one, up at my thigh. He goes, I'm going to rip it right through the right side between the first baseman and second baseman. And lo and behold, that was a hit to tie the game with 2 strikes. And pretty crazy. But he just got great feel for baseball. He's a great competitor. And really, Sunday's game, that's one of the best games I've ever had a player play when you think about not just the hits, but the situations he got the hits in. Was awesome. And, he's respected by his teammates because of how he goes about his business. Yeah. And we're lucky to have him here at LSU.
Coach, I want to highlight another player here. And look, one of the things that I try to live by is too gritty to be pretty. I say it all the time, and you've got a player that I think fits that motto perfectly, and that's Daniel Dickinson. He doesn't get as much praise maybe as others from the outside. I know he certainly does from the inside, but he just finds a way, scraps and claws, and is such an important piece of what y'all are trying to get done. He just feels like the grittiest baseball player. And I just want you to brag on him for a little bit because I feel like he deserves it.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought him up. He's, in my opinion, the best defensive second baseman in college baseball. I think he only has one error on the entire season, and that sometimes goes overlooked. And, again, I always look for things that are common threads and good teams, and we've turned some really big double plays at times this year. And he's done that. Offensively, really good player. I don't know what his average is, but he's on base all the time. He was going through a tough stretch for a couple games and hitting the ball hard. And it's just like, dude, just keep going and this is going to go. And, in Sunday's game, like he walked 3 times and then, had an infield single. It's like, there you go. I mean, the guy's on base 4 times, big game on Tuesday and sort of back on track. He's a great competitor. He's tough minded. He cares about winning, and he's going to play baseball for a long time. Like that's a very valuable player in somebody's organization that's going to outperform his talent, and I think he is very talented, and he's just going to be more consistent than other guys because of that tough mindset that you mentioned. And again, we're really lucky to have him here. I wish I could have him for more than 1 year. That's not going to happen, unfortunately, because he positively affects everybody around him.
Coach, so looking forward to the A&M series this weekend, there's kind of a fascinating inversion from what it was last year, where, last year y'all were the highly heralded team, kind of stumbled out the gate, had to find yourself back against the wall, big series win with A&M last year. This season, complete opposite, right? A&M, that highly heralded team, stumbling out the gate. They seem to be playing much, much better as of late. What are you telling your teams in terms of kind of being ready to battle that wounded animal?
Yeah, I think it has their attention. Like they have so many returning. Like we're a completely different team.
Yeah,
like I mean,
true.
the body
True.
for body, it's like it's not even the same team. They are very much the same team in terms of personnel. Like I mean, the Friday and Saturday starters, Ryan Prager and Justin Lampkin. Like at some point, these guys got to move on from college baseball because it seems like they've been there forever. And then Lavalette, really good. Kade and Curiel to me is one of the best hitters in the country. It's just guy after guy after guy that has a ton of college at bats under their belt. And let's look at their last few weeks. Like they lost 3 one-run games at Texas.
Yeah.
Well, Texas is the number 1 team in the country. The week before that, they won 2 out of 3 at Arkansas. Probably the most consistent winning SEC program for the last 10 years. And then Tennessee, obviously, we just saw that they won the series there. They swept South Carolina. So you can't get fooled by the record because for the last 4 weeks they've been playing as good as anybody, and it's an Omaha caliber team. And so really I think this is the 8th week of league. It's super regional number 8, so you got to just dive in and go. So.
Coach, you also know this. You've certainly been here long enough. You know that when LSU comes to town, you are going to get the best from the other team and the best from the opposing crowd as well.
No doubt. I think the last one we went to Auburn, they broke all kinds of attendance records, and there's a big vibe in the stadium, and that's awesome to be a part of. And instead of I think we have the type of players that will use that to only help them play better, and focus more. And at the end of the day, like whether you got a billion people around you or backyard, sandlot, whatever, it's how to play is how to play. And so you just got to stay focused on that. And I think it's a cool environment. I think it's one of the better ones in the league, to be honest with you, and we're excited to play in it.
All right, last one here, Coach, and it's probably going to be your least favorite one. But I've been directed to ask you about Devin Sheeran, who, of course, transferring in, getting hurt in the fall, but as some have noticed, not on the injury report. Are there any updates on Devin Sheeran?
Yeah, he's throwing live, simulated games, and he's obviously got a great arm. it's just a matter of, there's a lot more to it to be able to put him in a game, specifically an SEC game, in terms of readiness. But we're excited about his health progress. Now, I think, a word I used the other day is just, the sharpness. We need to get it to a level where we feel good about putting him in a game. I think that day will come. I'm just not quite sure yet when.
Coach Jay Johnson, we've kept you long. Thank you so much, Coach. You're the absolute best. Best of luck this weekend in College Station, and we will talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Have a great day.